Thank you very much, Gershom. Okay, I can project some slides here. Just wanted to say what a pleasure it is to contribute to this conference. Really very interesting and rich meeting. So thanks very much, dear friend Amos and the organizing committee for putting this together. So let's see if this works. Where do I share screen?
Yes, it is there.
It's there. Okay, thanks. So what I'm going to do today is just to actually give this group a sneak preview of the Rockefeller Foundation's new food initiative titled Nourish People and Planet. I mean, this will actually be officially launched by Rajiv Shah, the president of the foundation, in the next couple of months. But, you know, because the content is so timely and relevant, I'll present a brief overview and then highlight some aspects of this initiative that are relevant to food environments and the discussions here. So this new initiative, which is called Nourish People and Planet, is really about promoting healthy and planetary, human and planetary health through food system transformation. That's the ultimate vision, a global food system that nourishes both people and planet. That implies impact both on lives and systems, so that we have food systems that are more nourishing, equitable, and regenerative. And the 10-year goal, that's really, let's say, the audacious goal, is to substantially improve or transform the dietary quality of at least 100 million vulnerable individuals around the world. The two primary geographies of interest for the initiative are Africa and North America. And that dietary quality transformation is really based on three main pillars or focus areas. The first one is supply networks. So advancing more efficient, resilient, and energy-enabled food value chains that deliver protective and nutritious foods affordably and accessibly to all, especially the most vulnerable. And here we really see a very interesting opportunity to use clean energy and solar mini grids to enable things that are relevant across the value chain, such as irrigation, processing, and cold chain, to enable more of these healthy foods to affordably reach consumers in rural and urban areas. The second area is institutional purchasing, so really leveraging what we call the power of procurement for nutrition. So we view these institutional markets as an interesting opportunity, not just for immediate benefit to recipients, and that's of course even more important in the context of COVID-19, but also as a way to sow the seeds for a sustainable market for these protected foods or healthy foods across the market. And the third focus area is food policy. We think the time has come to think bigger and bolder in terms of transformative food system policy, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So just to highlight, like I said, a few initiatives across these focus areas that are relevant to food environments. The first one that we're working on is on the supply side is smart markets for the future. We know that open air markets are really a critical component of the food system infrastructure and of the food environment in low and middle income countries, and especially here in Africa. The challenge is that, you know, even though the agri-food system as a whole has evolved quite a bit over the past few decades, and especially in terms of technologies, innovation, etc., food markets have not really kept pace with those developments. And at the same time, when COVID hit, I mean, we know that a lot of these markets were simply closed, and then they had to reopen with social distancing restrictions. So a lot of those limitations and problems that we had with these markets became even more evident. Not to mention things, for example, such as food loss and waste, right? I mean, there's estimates that about 20% of the food that flows through these markets ends up being lost. Issues around opportunities, for example, to use solar energy to power the market. So we thought, you know, this is like a good perfect storm, if you will, to give us the opportunity to rethink these markets across their multiple layers. So going beyond just the physical structure, but also thinking about these multiple layers that ultimately make up such markets, right? I mean, the data layer, the technology layer, the information, governance, management, business model, environmental, all of these. So, we've been working with these partners, the East African Grain Council, IDEO, and Imperial College. And some very interesting and innovative designs have emerged already that range from, like I said, using solar energy to power the market, all the way to recycling the waste to provide feed, for example, for insect-based feed. So thinking of it more as a circular economy concept. The next initiative within the overall Nourish People and Planet initiative that I think is relevant is, as I was mentioning, the power of procurement for nutrition. So like I said, this is really a dual play. One, we really think that when we look at all the procurement channels, and there are really, there's quite a few of them. I mean, school feeding, of course, is the most visible and obvious of them. But we have things like the health system, armed forces, prison system, and even these more recent efforts around, cash transfers, vouchers, etc. There is opportunity to optimize meal and menus for improved nutrition, trying to do it, of course, in as budget neutral way as possible, because budgets were already constrained pre-COVID. They're even more so in the world of COVID. So the analysis that we're doing here, and Rwanda is here just really as an illustrative example, but it's really looking at that range of channels. What is their size? How much can they be influenced? And what is the current gap? And how could that be filled? By looking at things like, introduction of more nutrient-dense foods, fortified staple foods, biofortified food crops. One particular interesting play that we see here is fortified whole grains. I mean, the actual cost of producing whole grains is lower than the cost of producing refined grains. And when you look at African diets now, just by using, global burden of disease data, the estimate is that around 270,000 Africans lose their lives every year due to cardiovascular disease, diet, and colorectal cancer caused by low consumption of whole grains in their diets. So, we can not only improve the diets of those who receive foods through these channels, and in some countries, we actually see about a third of the population being reached one way or another through these channels, combining both multilateral agencies and government agencies. But at the same time, that increased demand can strategically be leveraged to, like I said, create a healthy market for nutritious foods. Another initiative that we are, let's say, in a very initial exploration stage, but I was very pleased with Nakumolo's presentation yesterday because the alignment is very great, and it's to a large extent inspired by this recent global panel report on food systems for nutrition, is, like I said, thinking bigger and bolder about food system policy, and rather than implementing smart policies, individual or isolated policies, trying to think of them more holistically, so that we get a set of strategically mutually reinforcing and strategically cohesive initiatives focus around this ultimate goal of achieving sustainable and healthy diets for the entire population. So we think that a good initial route would be to engage national governments at the top level to gain that buy-in. But then, of course, it's a process that has to be completely driven by the contextual needs. What the foundation and its partners can offer is process facilitation, a menu of evidence-backed and innovative policies, on-demand analytical capabilities, expertise on different parts of the food system, on a process that has really to be inclusive, transparent, evidence-based, but at the same time, and of course, negotiating the inevitable trade-offs that will be there in a transparent and fair way, making sure that we are advancing, let's say, in sort of a spiral approach where you can't, of course, solve everything at once, but you can have successive iterations. They're all systemic in nature, and that lead to this cycle of action, reflection, learning, design, and the next iteration. And last but not least, the foundation is investing on research on food system transformation with IDRC. I mean, the partnership has been officially signed in the past few days. We are very pleased about it. And this is really about supporting evidence generation on food system transformation and things that lead to improved food environments and diets. I added a slide on what we see as some important research priorities for Africa, but I think I'm out of time, so I'll just stop here and turn it over to the moderator. Thank you.